Hey there, love. If you are a new nurse or a nursing student, I made this for you. And listen, if you're a veteran nurse, don't click away because I need you in this conversation too. This isn't a new nurse versus an experienced nurse episode. This is one where we're all on the same team episode. Because the truth really is, new nurses don't just need skills, they need belonging. And experienced nurses just don't need staffing, they need support and community too. So today I'm welcoming the new nurses and students, and I'm inviting back all the vets into the story. So by the end of the episode, you'll have a simple way to silence that I'm not good enough voice, a quick reset for anxiety, like before the start of a shift or the start of clinicals, and a few things you can say to ask for help confidentially. It doesn't have to be everyone's business. And there'll also be a challenge for us veteran nurses um, that can really change the culture without having to use this huge speech to do so. So let's start here. Belonging isn't just feeling included. In healthcare, belonging can really affect safety. When people feel like they don't belong, they don't ask questions, they don't speak up, they constantly second guess themselves. And sometimes they stay quiet when they really should say something. So if you're new and you feel nervous to ask for help, you're not weak, you're human. That used to be me. I know exactly what that feels like. You find yourself pacing around the unit just so that you don't have to ask a question or ask for help. And if you're a veteran and you've just thought, well, I don't understand, why don't they just speak up? You got to understand that sometimes it's because the environment, it teaches them that speaking up can cost you something, that we aren't always kind to each other. And that shouldn't be the case. So remember, I always say this is a judgment free zone, will always be a judgment free zone. So in this community, we're going to practice something different. Questions are always welcome here. Honesty is always welcome here. And with those things in place, growth is going to be welcomed here as well. So, new nurse or nursing student, let me tell you what people don't prepare you for. The hardest thing isn't always getting through your tasks, it's the identity shock. Because you go from the place where you're a student who's learning to now you're the nurse and everyone expects you to know. Sure, the veteran nurses will understand you're a newbie and you're still getting adjusted and you're still getting your sea legs. But at this point now, when you've graduated and you're on the unit or you're in the facility, guess what? You have your own patient load. And those patients and those residents are looking at you and expecting you to be educated. They're expecting you to know what it is you're talking about. So you may look calm on the outside, but inside you're thinking, what if I miss something? What if I'm too slow? What if I say the wrong thing? Or just ultimately, what if I'm just not cut out for nursing? And that voice is very common in your first year. And it doesn't mean that you're failing, it just means that you're becoming. I remember having nurses tell me that when I started in the ICU. They was like, you know what? You're gonna really feel comfortable. By the time you really feel comfortable, you're gonna be about 2 years in. Like, and I was like, what? Are you serious? But guess what? They were not lying. They were not lying. By 2 years in, I'm charged, getting things done, answering questions, putting things together for the staff, my colleagues, so that it would make their shift and their night a little easier, getting the requisitions together, just taking care of everything. Just being able to feel that you can actively contribute to the shift. Yeah, took about 2 good years to really feel comfortable. That was not an overnight thing, and it was scary. And this isn't to scare you off. This is to let you know that confidence is on the other side of that. That you just got to walk through this uncertainty. You got to walk through this feeling of just not knowing, but understand you being an experienced nurse is right on the other side of that. So now, veteran nurses, this is where I need you. You may not realize it, but your tone can do one of two things. It can create safety or it can create silence. And I'm not here to shame you. Remember, this is a judgment-free zone. I know many of you veteran nurses are tired. You feel stretched. You feel like you're carrying the unit on your back. But I want to remind you of something. And this is something that's very, very powerful. You are culture. You are culture. Every supportive veteran nurse can change a new nurse's whole career trajectory. Honestly, one supportive veteran nurse, you'd be surprised. I still remember the veteran nurse who spoke to me and told me that I was meant to be a nurse. Because I'm not sure if you all have experienced it, but when I first started on a unit, it was like trial by fire. It was a trip. And I remember there leaving days being like, I don't think this is for me. I do not think this is for me. I just felt like I couldn't answer things the right way. I just felt like I couldn't get a grasp and understanding of what needed to be done because the textbook part of it is one thing. But when it comes to applying it, sometimes you find that what you're actually applying, you don't even remember from the textbook. Excuse me a second. Smokey, knock it off. Thank you. Sorry, guys. My puppy is in here and he just feels the need to get into things. But I remember that feeling. And it happened to be a veteran nurse. I remember I was in the medication room. And at this point now, I'm just going through the motions because whether you want to be there or not, whether you think you can make it or not, you still got to get through your 12 and a half hours. And I remember she came into the medication room while I was pulling up some drug. And she was like, listen, do you want to be a nurse? And I was like, yes. She said, mm-mm. Do you want to be a nurse? I was like, I do. She's like, well, then don't you let anybody drive you out of here. Don't you let anyone make you feel inferior. She was like, you got this. And that was just what I needed to hear. It's what I needed to hear. And I find myself doing that now for new nurses, letting them know that they're not in this by themselves, letting them know that even though they don't have all the answers right now, it's not going to always be like this, that they're going to continue to build on their knowledge base. And before they know it, they're going to be the ones precepting. they're going to be the ones offering words of wisdom and advice and uplifting new nurses. I had to let them know that they're not going to always be there, and there's a whole nother crew that's coming behind them who's going to need them to be encouraging and supportive. So when you think about things that you can do to reset yourself and to help normalize and quiet your nervous system and keep you from being overwhelmed, one thing you could do is just take a breath. And this is something we did yesterday. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. And you ask yourself, what is the most important thing for safety right now? Who can I grab for 60 seconds? And you just have to tell yourself, I can do this. And if there's one priority that I have, I need to ask someone what that would be. And whether we want, honestly, I can't even say it's whether you want to admit it or not. The truth of the matter is, sometimes veteran nurses, we don't always appear approachable, but we can be. And sometimes you just may have to navigate what that looks like. Everyone may not be forthcoming, everyone may not be helpful, but there are some who will be. So understand that everyone on the unit is not gunning for you. There are people who want to see you succeed. So, because being overwhelmed can make everything feel so urgent, you can't necessarily think clearly when your brain is telling you, you got to stay on top of this. You got to stay on top of this. You could be putting someone's life in danger. Oh my gosh. It gets to be a lot. It gets to be a lot. So I want to make this clear. If you're a new nurse or a student, here's your welcome. You're welcome even if you're slow. You're welcome even if you're still learning basic things. You are still welcome if you forget what you just read. Trust me, it happens. You're still welcome whether you cry after your shift or after clinicals. You're still welcome whether you don't know where the supplies are, when you need someone to show you something more than once, when you feel confident today, but tomorrow, not so much. Understand, this great profession of nursing is learned through repetition. It's learned through doing things over and over again with a support system and with time. Do not feel that you have to have it overnight and get everything overnight. That's not how this works. You need to be able to do things over and over again. You need to be able to be supported by veteran and seasoned nurses, and you need to give yourself time. So remember, I always say, don't just extend grace to others without extending that same grace to yourself. Remember, you don't have to earn kindness by being perfect. Okay? And sometimes you don't need motivation, you just need words. You need someone to be able to tell you that what you're doing is the right thing, or if it isn't, help to redirect you. So you can find that veteran nurse and you can say, hey, can you do me a favor? This is what these are the things I have to do. I just want to make sure I have them in the right order. Because we all know, and if you don't know already, time management is key. It's key. So if you have this veteran nurse who can show you how to rearrange your priorities just in case they're not in an order that's going to streamline your shift, be open to hearing what it is they have to say. Consider yourself an open book ready to learn. Okay. You can also ask them, and you know what? I really want to be accurate. Can you do me a favor and double check this with me? Or if it's something you haven't done before, you can ask them, hey, you know what? I haven't done this yet. Can you walk me through it once? If you feel like you're just kind of lagging behind, you're trying to get caught up, you can say, you know what? I'm good, but I'm getting a little behind. What do you think I should do first? And if you find a nurse who responds like they're impatient, you can still stay grounded without being offended. You can say, you know what, it's okay, I understand, I hear you. Um, what's the best way you want me to do this next time? There are things you can do. Remember, you're not begging. You're not begging. You are building your competence. You're building the foundation that you need to be able to provide great nursing care. So don't feel like you're a nuisance because you're not. The things you learn, the foundation you put together will carry you your entire nursing career. Sometimes it's just the fundamentals, but if you're open to constantly learning, you'll be able to add things to that fundamental foundation. And before you know it, you'll be a super user with you're the go-to nurse on the unit who's knowledgeable about so much, but it takes time. Even when you identify that nurse on your unit, ask them and say, be honest with me, how long did it take for you to be the resource that's standing in front of me right now? And you're going to be surprised to hear what it is they have to say. It was not overnight. It wasn't overnight. So show yourself some grace and don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. So understand, new nurses, students, I'm going to tell you something that'll surprise you. Veteran nurses are not just better nurses, they're often survivors of years of strain. Like they know what it's like to carry an entire unit. They've been around before the modern technologies that we have at our fingertips through the EMR. There are things that they had to do by hand. So, you know, their time management skills had to be on point, had to be. We just point and click and we're able to get through things. You imagine when you had to write things out longhand, paper charts. Oh my gosh, can't even imagine. But understand, many of them, they've carried short staffing for way too long. They know what it's like to work under pressure with not enough nurses and aides to help on the floor. They've trained multiple waves of new staff without any support themselves. They themselves have experienced moral distress. And when you think about it, they've watched a system that asks them to give their all, but often gives back very little. So if you run into a nurse who seems harsh and just doesn't seem like they have time for you today, hopefully this might help you to understand. Sometimes what you're feeling from them is burnout and sometimes even fear. And veteran nurses, if that's you, you're not a bad person, but you deserve healing and support too. So, this series we're heading into is for all of us. So, I want us to have a veteran nurse challenge. Okay. So, veteran nurses, Here's what I want you to do this week. Offer one 60-second encouragement to a new nurse. It's not a lecture. It's not a speech. It's just a lift, a pick-me-up. So, for example, it could be something like, you know what? You're doing better than you think. What's your priority right now? And hear what it is they're saying. I'm sure they'll be so relieved. You could say something like, ask me anything, no judgment. Or you could be nostalgic and think back and be like, you know what? I remember my first year. You are not alone. Encourage them if there's something that they caught, a near miss. Say, you know what? You caught that. Great job. Or if you really see that they're starting to struggle and it seems like they're drowning, you can go over and say, you know what? Just take a minute. Take take 30 seconds. Just breathe. Just breathe. And then we'll regroup. We'll talk afterwards. You don't have to fix the system in one day as a veteran nurse, but you do have the ability to change the temperature in a room. Okay? Always remember, you have the power to affect not only the lives of your patients, but the lives of new nurses and nursing students, or even nurses who are just having it really rough in life. You know, and as much as we tell people to leave their issues at the front door, it never happens. There are things that stay on their mind and stays with them, and it starts to affect their work. But I want us again, our keyword, our very safe word, grace. Extend grace to someone else because you never know what it is they're dealing with. So, nursing students, for you, specifically for you, you're not less than because you're learning. And your questions are not an inconvenience. Like I told you, don't consider yourself a nuisance. You learning is not a burden. You're becoming a real nurse in real time. And that's what it looks like. So if you feel intimidated, try saying, you know what? I'm not behind. I'm in training. Remind yourself of that. I'm not behind. I'm in training. And I'm going to give you a small goal too. Don't try to impress everyone. Don't try to impress everyone. Because inevitably, there will be someone who just doesn't like you on general principle. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. I don't toot my own horn, but I am a very easygoing nurse. I find joy in nursing. I find joy in encouraging my colleagues. Like I was saying before in the other video, I'm that one that's going around poking her head in, doing a wellness check on everyone to see how everyone's doing. That's usually me. So just understand that you don't have to impress everyone. Just be you. And try to understand, like put some real thought and deep understanding into one thing per shift. So let's just say it's a particular medication. Decide that you're going to look into everything as it pertains to that medication. What are possible interactions? What is its purpose? Its use. Like choose something during your shift. It could be maybe an assessment and how an assessment is performed, or a particular disease process that you see on that unit or in your facility, wherever you are, or a communication skill. There's so much that we can be learning, but don't feel that your questions don't deserve to be answered because they do. So Take these little small wins and stack them because that's what's going to help you become more confident. So understand, this is a community. I want to build community right here. So if you're a new nurse, comment new nurse and I'm here. If you're a student, you can comment student nurse and that you're claiming your seat. And if you're a veteran nurse, my seasoned veteran nurses, I want you to comment veteran nurse, I've got you. Because that's what's important, that we have each other. And then I want you to answer this. What would make you feel more supported on the unit? Would you feel more supported while you're there on the unit, in clinicals, or in school? What would make you feel more supported in those spaces when you're on the unit, when you're in school, when you're in clinicals? So understand, this is exactly why this series exists, because nursing is way too heavy to carry alone. So my new nurses, my student nurses, you belong here. You belong here. And to my veteran nurses, my seasoned ones, we need you here too, because your presence can shift and change the tone and outlook for our newer nurses. So if you're staying with me for the upcoming series, please hit like, subscribe, and share this video with a nurse who needs to feel welcome. Remember, that's what we're here to do, to uplift each other, empower each other, and to move forward together with grace and strength. So until next time, my friends, take care and be well.